All right, welcome back again to the Mockingbird Talk Show with Simon. Today we're going to discuss how the situation of racism in the 20th century uh, gets better. For example, the impact of women's suffrage and civil rights movements had on racism. And again, today we have Professor Toby as our guest.
Oh, hello there, Mr. Simon, again. Nice to see you.
Okay, so let's get straight to the point. During the 20th century, what events do you think are the most important that really contribute to the improvements of the situation of racism in America?
First thing that started before the 20th century was the women's suffrage, and in 1920, women finally got their rights to vote, and the racism against female has decreased since then.
Yes, the 19th Amendment indicated that women are able to vote, and since then, people value women and they are granted more rights that they should have had long ago.
A paragraph written by Tammy L. Brown explained the situation in New York. In July 1848, people advocated for the right of white women to vote. It is hard to imagine how hard it would be to fight against racism and their own vote while before this time, women did not even have a voice in the society.
I think so too. It must have been hard for women to finally get their rights and for the racism between gender to decrease. It is a lot effort to fight in that society, and it takes a lot of courage too. So back to racial discrimination, do you think civil rights movement is a victory against racism?
Well, I absolutely believe that the series of events named Civil Rights Movement by the Martin Luther King is definitely one of the most impactful events during the period of time. And I would call it a victory against racism, at least for back then. According to the data given by the Yukon today, the percentage of people who believe race relations are generally bad in the US have dropped from 68% in 1992 to 37% in 2008. I believe that this drop in the data is a lot is a lot based because of the civil rights movement before this era. The relationship between different races had become better, according to this data too.
I see. So why do you think there's about a 30 years gap between the civil rights movements and the relationship between these two races actually becoming better? Because I mean, after the Civil War in America, there are amendments that actually ban discrimination and slavery. So, and there are also a pretty much like uh, there are a lot of movements in the beginning of the 20th century that support that everybody is equal, and for all the racial equality thing. However, why there's such a big gap between the civil rights movements and the early 20th century?
I believe that is because the civil rights movement are generally for informing more people to know that racism still exists in America and call for action for more people to be willing to change for the situation to get better. Although the amendments was already put in place, the actual change of thought in people's mind would not be so fast. And I believe that 30 years gap will be it is a time of processing for people to have this changing mindset to believe and to know how to live together with different race and not to discriminate against them and actually make the situation better. They need time to realize that people are all equal regarding what race they are.
Yeah, it makes sense that people won't be able to instantly change their mindsets and their actions for years completely only by listening to a few speeches. There has to be a leader who are willing to change people's mind and lead most of the people to change their mindsets by true action, by real actions.
That's right. Therefore, another problem come along with the civil rights movement, and the acts settled by the movement only granted the rights to black people.
Yeah, but the civil rights movement definitely made the situation better for the black, at least.
That is very true. The situation was better for them. However, according to Ibram K. Kennedy, the movement only change people's viewpoint, but not that much on their actual action. Or well, they might be willing to help black people or be willing to treat them equally, but since this racism that exists for like the past hundreds of years, it is hard to get black people um it's hard to get black people back into a society just like Americans, and have these two races come together like them like the racism didn't happen before. And the black people needs more opportunity for them to come back into the society. The racism that the past hundred years indicated that it will be hard for them to catch up with the jobs and norms and education and a lot of other stuff that the white are used to.
That's true. There are still lots of racism in the US even today. Next time, we're going to bring you guys to American Today and show modern racism because it has become much more settled than before. But certainly, the racism still exists. So please subscribe to our channel and continue to support us. Thank you very much. And today, we're going to end our topic about racism in history. So we hope you can come back again for the modern racism in America. So yeah, thank you for all your support. We'll see you again.
See you again.